Today, I'm playing the worst JRPGs ever released for the PlayStation 4. Oh god, I'm really not looking forward to this. But one game I am looking forward to and is the sponsor for today's video is Honkai Star Rail. Honkai Star Rail is a sci-fi turn-based RPG from the team at HoYoverse who brought us Genshin Impact and was just announced to be releasing on April 25th. In this new space-exploring RPG, you'll travel across the stars aboard the Astral Express, discovering incredible new worlds and uncovering the universe's most ancient secrets. Throughout the game, you'll build a team of characters with unique abilities to utilize in the game's dynamic turn-based combat system. Some of my favorite characters so far include the adorable Bei Lu, the Cloud Knight Yunqing, and probably my favorite character, the bow-wielding March 7th. Yep, that's her real name. Every time I look at a new trailer, I can't get over how gorgeous the world looks and how cool all the characters look. Oh, and did I mention it's free to play and cross-play? So whether you're on an epic questline on PC or just want to knock out a few battles on your iOS or Android devices, you can keep the action going wherever you are. Be sure to check out the pinned comment or the link in the description to pre-register for your next epic adventure today. Alright, so here's how this is going to work. I went to Metacritic, sorted by lowest score, and then picked out the first 5 JRPGs that I found. With these 5, we're going to go from highest rated to lowest rated, starting with Valkyria Revolution. Now, let me be clear. I'm going into all of these games with an open mind and hope I genuinely enjoy them. With Valkyria Revolution, I know people really didn't like it mainly because it wasn't Valkyria Chronicles, which I can totally understand, but knowing that, I wonder if the game is actually not that bad. Now on PlayStation 4, it has a Metacritic score of 54, and let's look at some of the reviews to see what they say before we start playing. This quote is from Push Square, who gave the game a 3 out of 10. Valkyria Revolution is like a bizarre alternate reality version of Valkyria Chronicles in which everything that the original got right somehow has been twisted into something awful. The only strategy you'll require is working out the quickest bus route back to the shop to get your refund. Perfect. Just perfect. All right, let's actually boot this up and see if it's really that bad. Okay, we got a little narration setting up the story, looking good so far. This is sounding cool. Okay, now we have 2 people who don't look like soldiers talking about a war. All right, we'll go with it, I guess. Okay, now it looks like we're finally getting to the action with what looks to be the main characters. So wait, we have a narrator and then people explaining the story, and then we go to the real story? Why not just start with the soldiers? Having 2 layers of narration seems needlessly complicated. All right, well, let's see what the actual gameplay is like. Okay, this feels familiar. I actually remember playing the demo back when the game initially launched and thought it was okay, but obviously disappointed that it wasn't a core Valkyria Chronicles game. Overall, it's not bad, it's just a little simplistic. It kind of feels like a Dynasty Warriors game, but less elegant because each character has this cooldown timer for attacking. It feels like a weird in-between that just doesn't feel very good. Well, hopefully the levels get more interesting and the story picks up, so let's see what happens next. How are you still talking? This is nuts. I understand taking your time to set up the plot, but my god, the game's story just isn't that deep. You're starting a rebellion. Okay, got it. And frankly, I don't really care about anything that's happening to any of these characters. I don't feel invested at all. In the original Valkyria Chronicles, the game does an amazing job of making you feel connected with these characters almost immediately. Welkin is back visiting his hometown when it gets attacked, so you have to fight back and deal with the fallout. Not only has your hometown been destroyed, but people you know have been hurt. Perfect. Now I have a reason to hate the bad guys and root for the good guys. Here in Revolution, the game tells you through these weird narrators that these characters are important, but the game never makes you feel connected to any of them. There's an old storytelling adage, show, don't tell. And my god, does this game just overtell its story. Let me play this for a little bit more and I'll give you some more well-rounded impressions. Okay, so I've put about 7 hours total into Valkyria Revolution, and here are my thoughts on the game. I can totally see why I got low review scores, and to me, it has almost nothing to do with the fact that it's not a core Valkyria Chronicles game. The amount of cutscenes and story moments in this game goes way overboard. The percentage of actually playing the game to watching cutscenes is probably like 25% playing and 75% watching. That's just insane. This isn't a visual novel, it's supposed to be an action RPG. Let me see some action. William Shakespeare had a great quote that is perfectly fitting here. Brevity is the soul of wit. And let me tell you, there ain't nothing brief or witty here. And what's annoying is that the story was good and the cutscenes were well composed, I might be willing to sit through them, but they're not. I mean, just look at this cutscene. Shot, reverse shot, no interesting camera movements, the characters are barely moving, it's just boring. As for the gameplay, it's actually not that bad. There's a good variety of characters, all with different weapons and abilities. I was actually kind of having a good time with it. Scouts were probably my favorite as they attacked the fastest and had the shortest recharge time on their action gauge. Controlling them felt the closest thing to a real-time action game. Sadly, there's not a lot of variety to the levels and the game's just really easy. The problem is that they try to do this weird in-between system where it's kind of action and kind of strategy, but it's not great at either. Overall, I can see why it has low review scores, and I don't really disagree with them, but I also don't think it's as bad as its reputation makes it out to be. Alright, next up is Fallen Legion Revenants. Of all the games on this list, this seemed like the one that was most surprising to me. I remember watching a few trailers and thinking that the combat looked cool, kind of reminiscent of Valkyrie Profile. On Metacritic, it also has a score of 54. And let's see what some of the critics had to say. This quote is from GameSpew, who gave the game a 3 out of 10. Ultimately, Fallen Legion Revenants is one of the worst games I've played in some time. Alright, we're not mixing any words there. Well, let's start this up and take a look. So yeah, this is what I was expecting so far. Combat is pretty fun with different characters assigned to different buttons. My instinct is to mash the buttons, but it seems like it's much more beneficial to space them out so you can get those perfectly timed blocks. Alright, that was a fun mission. Let's keep going. Oh, I can move? Okay, that was weird. The game just kind of cuts here with no prompts. I had no idea what was happening. Okay, now I think I see what's happening. It seems like the game is split into two parts where you're doing combat in one phase and then sort of playing politics in another. That could be cool. Let's see how this progresses. Okay, now I see the problem. So this combat that you're seeing right here, that's it. That's the entire game. Pretty much. There are times where you briefly play as Lucian and talk with other characters, but it's so infrequent and usually inconsequential. There was one cool moment where I had to try to make this potion in the middle of a battle to try to give my team a bonus, but I just couldn't do it in time and it ultimately didn't matter. Now I have to say that the battle system is cool and quite fun. The game also does a nice job of slowly introducing new mechanics to keep things fresh. For example, certain enemies will drop debuffs on spaces on your side of the board, so you'll need to move so you don't hit them. The boss battles were also pretty fun as they had more health and required a deeper level of strategy. But I feel like there were so many other clever things you could have done with this battle system. Like, what if you could launch enemies into the air, juggle them, and then slam them to the ground, all with different party members? That would have been really cool. I don't necessarily think this game is bad, it's just extremely shallow. I wish I had more to say, but you've basically seen it all. Unless you really like this battle system, you're gonna get bored pretty fast. For a game that's about 20 hours, you really have to have a lot of patience just to play battles like this over and over again. Alright, next up we have Natural Doctrine. I actually remember hearing about this game around the launch of PlayStation 4 and how hard it was. I never saw any actual gameplay, so I'm curious to see what it plays like. But first, as always, let's check out some reviews. The game has a Metacritic score of 53, so only slightly lower than the last few games. First up, we have Calm Down Tom, a blog that when I clicked on gave me a 404 error. Metacritic must have some real high standards for its critics. They gave the game a 10 out of 100, or maybe a 1 out of 10. Again, I couldn't read the actual review, but here's what Tom had to say. It's shocking to see something this bad on a current gen console, and it's really sad to think that someone released this and asked for money. Well, alright. Now let's see what IGN had to say, scoring it a 2.8 out of 10, which is painful, I guess, on their scale. With its unfair gameplay and messy combat, Natural Doctrine is nothing more than a tedious, rage-inducing nightmare. Well, looks like we're in for something special here. Let's take a look. Whoa, this is the game? Oh my god. I knew it was a PS3, PS4 cross-gen game, but this seriously looks like a PS2 game, no joke. Final Fantasy X, a game that came out 13 years prior, looks leagues better than this. Wow, that's shocking. Okay, this battle system is weirdly complicated. Instead of having grids for single characters, you have bigger spaces that you move around on. It kind of feels like Valkyria Chronicles, but more restrictive. There's a lot of weird setup you have to do when attacking. Depending on how far away you are, you do more or less damage, or even bump into allies and maybe not even attack. It's very strange. My lord, look how cluttered this UI is. Xenoblade 3, your heart out. Okay, after that first battle, I think I kind of get it. The learning curve is very steep, but after a few more fights, I think I'll probably be able to figure this one out. So let's move on. Okay, what the hell? Whoever designed the UI for this game should never work in the industry again. Like, where do you want me to look? You have characters talking over here, and then you post their dialogue again here. Then there's like this weird news ticker on the bottom that's constantly scrolling. I have anxiety just looking at this screen. And what am I supposed to do next? Well, I'm here. Maybe I'm supposed to move to this map next? Okay, that didn't do anything. Let's let the characters finish talking to see if they have anything helpful to say. Okay, clearing out mines. Let's do that. Great, another tutorial. You know, I've played a lot of strategy RPGs over the years, all with different takes on the genre, but this combat system is so convoluted. Like, look at this setup for my attack. What am I even looking at? The battles aren't really that hard yet, but I feel like I'm playing it wrong. Like, I'm not taking full advantage of the mechanics. When your game confuses their player this badly, that's not a good sign. All right, I'm gonna play more of this and come back with some final thoughts. Well, I finally ran into a difficulty wall and I literally can't progress any further. I'm completely stumped. The story is also complete nonsense, but let me touch on the gameplay first. So the challenge certainly ramped up, but I welcomed it. I often had to retry battles, but with new knowledge each time, it was fun to try and overcome the challenges. The problem with Natural Doctrine comes with battles like this one I got stuck on. So the battle begins, you step on this trapdoor, and then 9 enemies pop out at once, compared to your 3, only one of which have long-range attacks. I tried to just brute force it, but the ogres hit way too hard, so that was out of the question. The real problem is that most of the 9 enemies have range, and the way that the battle system works, they can all combo off each other. Oftentimes, they would kill one of my characters before I even had a chance to go. Oh, and by the way, if any of your characters die, any of them, the battle's over immediately. No revival window, nothing. It's absolutely brutal. And I really tried to cheese the hell out of this battle, guarding and trying to just kite enemies over to this little corner and picking them off slowly, but that just didn't work. I tried this battle probably 10 times and I just had to give up. The challenge was so ridiculous. I'm sure I'm gonna get a lot of get goods in the comments, but unless you've played this game for yourself, you have no idea how unfair the challenge is. Now, as for the story, it makes absolutely zero sense. I think it's about these 4 characters here trying to get citizenship or something by doing mercenary work, but let me lay out for you the ridiculous string of events that occurred. So I found these new monsters in a cave, and the council in this world, I guess, usually wants to hear about them, but it won't hear from us for whatever reason. So we're walking around the woods, and this random guy we find says he can help us, but needs to see the monster for himself. So we go back, show him the monster, and then one of our teammates gets brutally eaten by the monsters, and then another leaves to go tell their family. So now there's 3 of us going back to the council. And on the way, we meet a kid who seemingly is alone. We rescue him and take him back to his village, which is all giant ogres for some reason. Now he tells us it's safe, but when we walk around the village, it's like a battle, but none of them attack. Then once I got to the inner sanctum, the door closes and I have to fight these ogres, and the ogre chief laughs like it's a trap or something. Now, after you kill them, apparently all these ogres that we were just fighting were criminals, and fighting them was like some kind of weird test, and now we're all friends? Like, what the hell is happening? Overall, Natural Doctrine is a complete mess no matter which way you slice it. It looks very outdated, the UI is horrible, the gameplay is really unbalanced, and the story makes no sense. I really wouldn't recommend this game to anyone outside of the most hardcore and masochistic strategy RPG fans. By the way, I spent a lot of money making this video and tortured myself for dozens of hours playing these games, so if you could like the video, if you're enjoying it, and consider subscribing, that would be amazing. Oh boy, next up we have the infamous Akiba's Trip Hellbound and Debriefed. Now this is not the same game that came out on the PS3, PS4, and Vita. That was this game's sequel, and the game we're looking at today was the game that spawned the series, originally releasing in Japan on the PSP in 2011. As always, let's take a look at the reviews first. The PS4 version has a Metacritic score of 52, again just slightly lower than the last few games. Shack News rated it a 4 out of 10, saying, "The game is a constant chore to enjoy and should be reserved for the folks that really want to see where the series began." Hey, I love chores. Maybe this won't be so bad. Let's check it out. All right, I just got beat up by an edgelord in an alley. I hate him already. What's with the audio for this character? It sounds like they're talking on speakerphone or something.
Regardless of all that, the human
Is that Erica Lindbeck? All right, I'm intrigued. This is a weird opening to a game. Okay, now I'm being handcuffed and being interrogated, apparently.
My name is Ryuji Seiji, part of an organization called IRA.
Hey, could you speak up? The music's too loud. And is that Sojiro from Persona 5? This is like some kind of bizarre Persona 5 reunion. This is seriously an option. Oh, okay, I just have to see what happens. Oh my God, they just leave you to die and the game ends. That's awesome. I love that they have that. Okay, we're back to where we started, and let's not choose the perverted route this time. So they want me to join a group of freedom fighters to stop vampires from taking over Akihabara. What a concept. All right, let's walk around and check out the combat. Oh my God, that is the most awkward jump animation I think I've ever seen. Like, who jumps like that? Man, and this combat is just so freaking awkward and clunky. And there's no lock on either. Ugh, it just feels awful. All right, I'm just gonna run away and do what I'm supposed to do next because I can't take any more of this combat. Whoa, those textures, yikes. Man, no matter how much I play, I just can't get used to this combat. It's just so bad. Especially when I run into more than one enemy at a time, it's almost impossible to deal with them. Okay, so the guy that beat me up at the beginning of the game has guards that are dressed up like musicians, and we might be able to draw him out from hiding if I dress up like those guards. Okay, well, I guess if I find them, I can strip them and take their clothes. I can't believe that's something I just said with a straight face. All right, there's 3 of them. Perfect. Whoa, hang on. What is this supposed to be? Like, seriously, what is this? I'm not exaggerating when I say this might be the worst texture I've ever seen in a video game. Wow. Okay, I've stripped about 6 of these musician guys and I cannot get their clothes. Like, what am I doing wrong? Oh my God, this glitch. Baby Jesus, help me. So after going to literally every store in town, I found that I could just buy them. Why didn't the game tell me that? The game didn't need to tell me which one, but just running around like an idiot for 30 minutes was so frustrating. Okay, well, now I got the outfit. Where is he? Oh my God, I needed to talk to these guys in the suits. Nothing about the story quest is clearly communicated to the player at all. Wow, that was just so frustrating. Okay, I took him down. Let's see what I gotta do next. You have a new target. She's a female shadow soul who goes by the name SGV. She wears a high school uniform and uses it to lure men off the street. I'm going to jail, aren't I? Since the high school girl's uniform requires a very specific maneuver to properly strip, I called in support from the master. Go straight to her and take her instructions. Oh my God in heaven. All right, I'm here. Now what?
You want to know how to remove a high school girl's clothing?
Not really, but if I have to. Oh my God. Nope, we're done. We're done. So after playing for only 2 hours, I just can't with this game. It's ugly, clunky, cringy, embarrassing, and borderline incriminating. Somehow there's a game on this list with a lower Metacritic score. It must be a real disaster, and I'm not looking forward to it. All right, finally, we've come to the last game on the list, Arc of Alchemist. I remember seeing this game and thinking it kind of looked cool. I'm always down for another action RPG with an anime art style. Currently, it has a 46 on Metacritic, the biggest jump down yet. Here's what Gaming Trend had to say, who gave it a 30 out of 100. Arc of Alchemist features repetitive combat, tired tropes, an empty world, and a poorly thought out and written story. There is nothing interesting in this package. Just skip it. Sounds generic. Now, after reading a lot of the other reviews, they're mostly saying that it's short and repetitive. Well, let's take a look for ourselves. Oh, wow. This is a weird thing to be impressed by, but it's compile hard, so the bar is pretty low. But this text box actually looks pretty cool. I like the little gear thing and everything looks nice. All right, let's see how it actually plays. Whoa, my God. Okay, controls can be some of the hardest things to explain in a video, but these controls are so ridiculously delayed to the point of being almost unplayable. I mean, look at this. The attack button is delayed almost a full second. How did none of the reviews talk about this? Well, I'm gonna soldier on and see if I can just get used to this. Well, my blue-haired buddy here died. Let me revive her. Wait, how do I revive her? Okay, hold on. So you can't revive a fallen party member on the battlefield. You have to either go back to your base or build up a camp enough to unlock the functionality to revive her at that camp. Wow, that is some backwards ass game design. Okay, she's dead again, whatever. I'm just gonna keep going. Oh no, what is happening? Oh my God, she's back and now they're both glitched. Oh my God, this game is such a mess. So when the game isn't glitching, it's actually not that bad. It's a little mindless, but it's kind of fun. I have different move sets, and going back to the base to upgrade it and set up different camps is kind of cool. The problem I'm running into is the leveling system, or lack thereof. So at the base, you can increase your character's stats, but only to a certain amount, which I assume is tied to your level. So is this the only way to increase your stats? Does leveling up not give you stats at all? Like, look at this fight here. I'm 10 levels higher than the enemy I'm fighting, and yet I'm doing 0 damage. How is that possible? All right, let me play a bit more and come back. So apparently I'm almost done with the game, but I just can't take it anymore. I actually kind of enjoy it, but it's got some big issues. To me, the biggest problem lies in the statistical balance of your characters compared to the enemies and this weird camping system. In a real-time action game with multiple party members, it makes no sense to me that you can't revive them on the fly and need to either wait for the revive timer or go back to the camp, which could be far away. It feels totally counterintuitive, and that statistical imbalance is just bizarre. I'm often fighting enemies way below my level, yet they either kick my butt or just straight wipe out my team. The fact that you have to level up and then go back to your base to dump points into your stats makes no sense. Maybe I'm misunderstanding how the game's systems work, but if so, the game does not explain itself well at all. I don't think it's as bad as the Metacritic score says, but it's also not a good game either. So if we go back and look at how the games are ranked based on their Metascore, the only thing I really would swap around is move Arc of Alchemist to the 3rd spot and then pretty much keep everything the same. Akiba's Trip is unquestionably the worst JRPG on PlayStation 4, and to me, it's not even close. Now, if any of you had the misfortune of playing any of the games on this list, drop a comment down below. I'd love to hear about your experiences playing these games. Now, if you want to hear about some great PS4 JRPGs, make sure you check out this video right here. And special thanks to Reset Switch, Tyler Kuzawa, and the Miyazaki Man for supporting me over on Patreon. To get exclusive videos and other cool perks, consider supporting me over on patreon.com/thegaming shelf. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.